Chosen one, there are moments in life when nothing around you seems to make sense, yet everything inside you feels alert, awake, and strangely ready. If you've been sensing pressure without explanation, delay without clarity, and isolation without warning, this is not confusion, this is positioning. Chosen one, you are not stuck. You are being prepared for a sudden switch, not a gradual improvement, not a slow upgrade. A divine pivot that happens faster than anyone expects, including you. What makes this season so uncomfortable is that preparation for a sudden switch rarely looks like progress. It looks like silence. It looks like routine. It looks like being overlooked. It feels like you're invisible while others are advancing. But the truth is, God never announces the switch before it happens. He prepares you quietly so that when it comes, you can sustain it. Right now, your life may feel unusually still, as if momentum has paused. But stillness is not stagnation when God is involved. Stillness is often where capacity is built. Muscles grow in resistance, not in movement. Faith deepens in waiting, not in celebration. You are being trained in private for something that will unfold in public quickly. One of the clearest signs that a sudden switch is coming is how intensely you've been tested without receiving immediate reward. You've had to mature without applause. You've had to obey without evidence. You've had to stay disciplined when nothing seemed to be working. This is not accidental. Sudden elevation without internal preparation destroys people. That's why God stretches the chosen ones internally before shifting their external reality. You may have noticed that your tolerance for certain environments has dropped. Conversations feel shallow. Old habits feel heavy. Places you once fit into now drain you. This is not pride, this is recalibration. When a switch is coming, God detaches you emotionally from what cannot go with you. He loosens your grip so the transition doesn't tear you apart. There is also a strange urgency forming within you. A quiet but persistent sense that time matters now. That distractions are costly. That obedience feels heavier than before. This urgency isn't anxiety, it's alignment. When heaven prepares to move you suddenly, it sharpens your awareness so you don't miss the moment. What's difficult is that sudden switches often come after long stretches of feeling forgotten. Joseph didn't gradually climb from prison to palace, he switched in a single day. David didn't slowly become king, the shift happened when the timing aligned. Esther didn't campaign for influence, one moment changed everything. But every sudden switch was preceded by unseen preparation. You're in that unseen phase now. God has been working on your reflexes, how you respond under pressure, how you speak when misunderstood, how you act when no one is watching. Because when the switch comes, there will be no time to adjust. You will be required to operate immediately at a higher level. That's why your character has been under such scrutiny. You may feel like you've been repeating the same lessons, the same emotional challenges, the same spiritual confrontations. This repetition isn't delay, it's mastery. God repeats lessons until you respond differently, not because He wants to test you endlessly, but because what's coming requires automatic wisdom. Notice how certain doors have refused to open no matter how hard you tried. That resistance wasn't rejection, it was protection. If those doors had opened prematurely, they would have locked you into a version of life beneath your assignment. God closed them so the switch could remain clean and complete. Another sign is how quickly God corrects you now. Conviction comes fast. Restlessness sets in quickly when you drift. This sensitivity isn't weakness, it's refinement. When you are close to transition, God keeps you sharply aligned. Small missteps matter more near the moment of change. You might also feel unusually tired even without physical cause. Spiritual preparation is exhausting. Carrying unseen weight drains energy. Your soul has been lifting things before your hands ever touch them. Rest when you can. This fatigue is not failure, it's evidence of load, bearing strength being developed. What people don't realize is that sudden switches shock the environment around you more than they shock you. Others will say it happened overnight, but you will know it didn't. You paid for this moment in silence, obedience, and restraint. You endured seasons where quitting would have been easier. That's why you'll be able to stand when it happens. Be careful in this season not to explain yourself too much. Not everyone needs access to your process. Some people only understand outcomes. Protect your preparation. Silence preserves momentum. Also, don't rush what God is slowing down. When a switch is imminent, impatience becomes the enemy. Timing matters more than effort. You're not late. You're being aligned to the exact moment when the shift will not require recovery. When the switch happens, it will feel both shocking and familiar. Shocking because of the speed. Familiar because your spirit has already been there. That's how you'll know it's God. Peace will accompany the acceleration. Stay faithful in small things. Stay disciplined in routine. Stay humble in waiting. The sudden switch is not triggered by desperation, it's activated by readiness. And readiness isn't loud. It's quiet obedience, it's unseen growth. It's staying when leaving feels easier. It's trusting when clarity hasn't arrived yet. Chosen one, you are not behind. You are being prepared for a moment that will rearrange your path quickly. What feels like delay is actually precision. When God flips the switch, everything you've endured will make sense at once. What many chosen ones don't realize is that the most dangerous part of a sudden switch is not the elevation itself, but the final moments before it happens. This is the stage where exhaustion peaks, hope feels thin, and temptation to settle becomes loud. Right before God changes things quickly, the enemy tries to convince you that nothing is coming at all. That voice telling you to lower your expectations, to accept less, to stop believing, that voice grows louder when the switch is closest. This is why this season feels heavier than previous ones. You are not just waiting, you are resisting pressure meant to wear down your discernment. The enemy does not fight what he doesn't fear. If nothing significant were ahead, there would be no need for such targeted discouragement. The intensity of resistance is proof of proximity. You may notice people suddenly misunderstanding you more than ever. Your words get twisted. Your intentions are questioned. Even your silence is misinterpreted. This is not coincidence. When a sudden switch is approaching, God allows exposure, not of your flaws, but of who is not meant to go forward with you. Misalignment reveals itself naturally under pressure. There is also a separation happening that feels painful because it's quiet. No dramatic fallout, no clear closure, just distance, just fading connections. This is mercy. God is gently removing emotional dependencies that would destabilize you when your environment changes quickly. Sudden switches require light travel. Be aware that right now obedience matters more than understanding. God is not explaining everything because explanation would slow you down. Faith is faster than logic. When the switch comes, there will be instructions that don't allow time for debate. You're being trained now to move when God speaks, not when everything makes sense. Some of you are being forced to confront old internal wounds you thought were already healed. Feelings you buried are resurfacing. Memories you avoided are coming back. This is not regression, this is resolution. God will not elevate you suddenly while unresolved pain still controls your reactions. He is closing emotional loops so the future doesn't bleed from the past. Watch how your reactions have been changing. You're slower to explode, quicker to forgive, more selective with your energy. This is not maturity by accident. You are being rewired for authority. Authority requires restraint. Influence requires emotional regulation. God is shaping your internal posture before changing your external position. Another sign of a coming switch is divine inconvenience. Plans fail unexpectedly. Routes close. Timelines collapse. What once worked suddenly doesn't. This isn't chaos, it's redirection. God disrupts comfort patterns so you don't miss the turn. If things were too smooth, you'd stay where you are. You may feel like you're losing control, but you're actually being released from it. Sudden switches require surrender. Control resists acceleration. Trust allows it. That's why God has been stripping your need to manage outcomes. When the moment comes, you won't be clinging to what must be left behind. Understand this clearly. When God flips the switch, people will demand explanations you don't owe them. They will ask how, why, and when. But divine timing doesn't require public justification. Not everyone deserves access to your testimony. Some people are only assigned to your past, not your future. This is also why humility is being emphasized so strongly right now. Not false humility, but grounded awareness. Sudden elevation tests identity. God wants you anchored in who you are before the shift, so the change doesn't define you. If your worth comes from position, position will destroy you. But if your identity is rooted in God, position becomes a tool, not a trap. Be careful of counterfeit opportunities in this season. They will look close to the promise but require compromise. They will offer speed without alignment, relief without obedience. These are traps designed to make you switch early without God. Wait. What God has prepared will not require you to betray your values or rush your spirit. Notice how your intuition has sharpened. You sense things before they happen. You feel warnings without explanation. This sensitivity is not imagination, it's activation. When sudden switches occur, discernment becomes survival. God is tuning your inner compass so you can navigate new terrain immediately. You are also being prepared for visibility. Even if you don't seek attention, attention will find you. This is why God has been correcting your motives, purifying your intentions, removing the need for validation. Visibility amplifies whatever is inside. God ensures integrity is stronger than insecurity before the lights come on. There may be moments where you feel lonely even in rooms full of people. That's because you're already transitioning internally. Your spirit is ahead of your circumstances. This disconnect is uncomfortable, but temporary. You don't belong fully to where you are, but you're not yet revealed where you're going. Don't mistake this in-between feeling as confusion. It's compression. Like a spring being pulled back. When released, the movement will be fast. That's why patience is being demanded now. The greater the force required, the tighter the tension before release. God is also teaching you how to respond when things move quickly, when favor comes fast, when doors open suddenly, when decisions stack up rapidly. You are being trained now through small pressures so you don't panic under large ones. Calm under pressure is a mark of preparation. Expect the switch to expose people's hearts. Some will celebrate you genuinely. Others will feel threatened. Don't internalize reactions that have nothing to do with you. Growth reveals insecurity in others. Stay focused. Don't shrink to make others comfortable. You are not being prepared for chaos. You are being prepared for responsibility. Sudden switches come with weight, influence, demand expectation. That's why endurance has been emphasized more than excitement. God trusts those who remain steady, not just those who feel inspired. If you're tempted to give up right now, recognize that as a signal, not a conclusion. The urge to quit often peaks right before breakthrough, because endurance is the final qualification. Heaven is watching consistency more than performance. When the switch finally happens, it will not ask for your permission. It will interrupt your routine. It will override your plans. It will feel like acceleration beyond your control, yet you will be calm, ready, grounded. Because you've already lived the shift internally, you will look back and realize this season was not about waiting for change, but becoming someone who could survive it. The switch is not just external, it's identity level, assignment level. So stay alert, stay obedient, stay humble. Guard your heart, protect your focus. Finish this season strong. Because chosen one, this is not the end of the waiting. This is the edge of movement. And when God switches things suddenly, there is no rewind, only forward.